basically, I was going through my list here and deciding how to split the pages, which would actually be individual scenes or rooms, by going by the simple rules of when there's a character change, then most likely a page change, unless there's a location change. How do I say it? Location characters all in one area where there's no location change, right? Stays on one page, and then when you change the actual locations with the same characters, that overrules that. But then if there's an actual location change and different characters, then you definitely change this page for that. And so we did a little bit of it, came to realize that some of this stuff is ambiguous. Like, for instance, Max pulls Scarlet Red Clover out of hiding, asks her to go and conscript the werewolves into a service. Now, we don't know where the werewolves are, we don't know where Max is, and we don't really know where Red was hiding. I have to actually make that explicit to say where they all are, where they're going. Red tells the werewolves led by Rottweiler that they might be rid of their curse if they join Max's army. That is an actual different location. This is actually in the werewolf village. I need to put that in there. Kurt, Rottweiler's second in command, goes to meet with Violet after remembering Red and Violet's rivalry. Violet agrees to help Kurt become the leader of the pack. And that's why this is a different page, because this is actually a different location. I should say where Violet is working from. Most likely she's working from Fairy God College, because that's kind of her base of operation. Max is either going to be at the castle, or he's going to be in the mines. And at some point he would be at the hotel, but I don't have a scene where he does anything in the hotel. So he's not actually at the hotel in any of these scenes. Zanzibar put some of the tax money he's collected into his own pocket, and I don't know where this is at either. It's wherever Zanzibar is supposed to be right now. Anyways, I need to go through it and make sure I'm fairly explicit about where the locations are. So that's what I got done today. A quick recap of what I did today, which is I needed to find a way for Hubert to get the ticket to John. Hubert's magic doesn't work quite well, and he's going to have to rely on things of the realm and stuff to get the ticket to him. In so doing, I also had to figure out a way for anybody to get into Enchanted Lands, and so I came up with this sort of elaborate system, which will probably not show up in the game, but I need it as sort of this kind of backstory, or this kind of explanations. Here, I'm going to read this really briefly. Some notes about the magical ticket system for Enchanted Lands. So usually Enchanted Lands has a great intelligence network that alerts the king and the administrators of the resort when there's a new millionaire or billionaire or VIP or what have you. So usually an envelope is left under the door containing a brochure with a price and a place to show up, written in an empty box on the back. When the person shows up with the money, there's usually two people, one sitting at a table and the larger one standing behind them, obviously for security reasons. Then there's a session where the person sitting at the table hands a sheaf of papers to the person with the cash, has them sign a bunch of them, gives them a copy of what they signed, takes the money. Then both the agent and the bodyguard go through a portal, leaving the guest alone. A few days later, they receive another envelope, this time with one or more silver tickets. Then they read the back of the ticket and opens a portal onto a flying train. What usually happens with the agent when he goes back to Enchanted Lands, he goes to the administration castle, walks up to a window in one of the castle's room, passes the cash and the sheaf of papers to a desk clerk who stuffs it in a canister, puts it in a pneumatic tube, which transports to elsewhere in the castle. There's a mailroom in the castle that receives these canisters where they take out the papers, put a quick silver ticket into the same canister, and put it in another pneumatic tube, which ends up in the ticketing room where there's hundreds of workers taking silver tickets and putting them into envelopes, inserting them into magical mailboxes where they're magically transported to their destination, which happens to be wherever the guest is located. So it's with this that I come to Hubert attempting to bring John into Enchanted Lands. Since he can see the other realms, he's got the info. He searched for someone he could trust that would be willing to help. He chose John, so he sent him a silver ticket in his favorite candy bar. The way he did this is because he owns a Benny Wonky candy company in our realm. Sent a silver ticket into the magic mailbox, which magically got inserted into the candy bar right when John picks it up. Then I went back to the list here and I sort of modified a few of these things to where they're explicit. This explains Hubert sending the ticket to John, and then I rearranged a few of these to be a little bit more explicit and to flow better. I rearranged Hubert's entrance and the unicorn's entrance, and then I'm up to line 27, which I'll start to work tomorrow. So that's about all I did today. Okay, so today I finally got the whole list resorted, all the scenes resorted. Most of the locations now are more explicit, and there should be pretty much no ambiguous locations, and it should almost be ready to start being put into Redot. I'll have to do a few things. I'm actually going to use the AI to help me go through the list, make sure there's nothing ambiguous that I missed, and making sure everything looks kind of okay. Even, it's not that important, but I'm going to do it. And then the other thing is, oh yeah, I'm going to get the AI to generate the JSON code from this list of the scenes, and then I'm gonna also have it write a GD script to actually load in and dynamically create the scenes, including the doors and everything. I'm gonna see where we go from there. I guess I'll see if it will also name the pages or something. I'm not sure. Anyways, so yeah, that's what I did today, and we're making some good progress. Okay, so this is what I got done yesterday, right? I had it Grok start doing names here, right? I had a specific format that I wanted the room names. RMX, X is a separator, RM means room, 001, 002, etc. means 1 to 96. These are the actual rooms or pages, whatever you want to call it. Underscore, lowercase words. So it said room RMX001 underscore Enchanted underscore Lands. Enchanted Lands Magical Resort. That's our first cutscene. That's correct. 2. Hubert's home. His home unique. He walks around his home. Goes to a large crystal ball. I guess he has this all in his home. So presumably this is all in his home. While on his way from work, John stops at a store, gets his favorite candy bar with a silver ticket. Looks at the silver ticket, says some words in the fine print, and the portal opens. John steps through the portal as it closes behind him. This is actually supposed to be in our realm. Even though I've said to the AI what our realm is called, at least it could have got it right and said our realm. But this says this is a store. That's okay because that's what he does. He stops at a store. That's okay. Number 4, somewhere in the kingdom, Chester, friendly dragon, lands at the entrance of the cave's dragon mount. Except it labeled room 4 as train cabin, and we're not in the train cabin yet. We just seen John cross over from our realm basically into the portal. I mean, it doesn't even say the train cabin, but that's where he ends up. So 4, 5, he sees a village, so at some random village, in which case he could name it, Dragon Village or something of that nature, based on just the text here, and it would have been fine. Even if I had to change it later, it would have been okay. And then he picks up a few shiny objects. Now he's actually in his cave. So this he flies back to his cave. That is not it's a location change, but he has to stop one of these dragons from burning this village. So he does that. He flies back to his cave. This is actually from his cave. And then 7, John steps into the train cabin. So this is the train cabin. But here it says Dragon Mount Caves 5, 6, and 7. It's actually 4, 5, and 6. It's not 5, 6, and 7. Now 7's actually the train cabin. So the train cabin should actually be 7. And this should be moved down 1. And it wasn't. And for 11 here, we got night school. 11 is not night school. In fact, it was determining it based on the word night school in here, but this is not that. 12 is dwarf mines. That's fine. 13 is night school 2. It's actually night school 1. It's got several of these things wrong in here. What I decided I'd do is maybe reformat the name to include the character or characters that are there. This would be Zanzibar, Enchanted Lands, Random Village, or something. Some such thing like that. So I have to be more explicit. I have to go back through this there, make sure everything's explicit in there. And that's what I'll probably be doing tomorrow. So that's about what I got done today. Okay, so there's a thing that I did actually get done here. Actually, let's pull this back up again. Is this? I just went through. I made sure everything was specific, was an explicit, like location for each and everything. I mean, still don't have every single detail, but it's enough to do what I want. And now we're back down to like 92 pages, which is more reasonable, I guess. Next time I'm going to have to start thinking of the file names and stuff. These are actually going to be description text, even single lines here. So my next thing is to actually I have to do it manually. I have to come up with the room names and then make sure I have the format of the room names that I will end up turning into JSON. And then I'll have the door data will actually be below it, and I'll have to prepare that in a certain way. And then eventually I'll see if I can get one of the AIs to actually convert it to JSON. I'm possibly going to see about making a Python script to actually take all of this and convert it to JSON properly. So yeah, anyways, that's about it, and I will see you later.